Welcome to the third dimension. As the war in Gaza hits the 200-day mark, the human cost has been devastating. But beyond Gaza itself, there were widely held concerns that the conflict would spill over into a regional war. 7 months later, the regional scene remains mixed. The Lebanese Hezbollah militant group continues to exchange fire with the Israeli military over the border. But despite some periodic threats, neither side appear interested in escalating the conflict to an all-out war. The biggest surprise regionally has been the Houthis, who put themselves on the map with an ongoing campaign to disrupt global shipping through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, despite the best efforts of the US military and its allies. While the Houthis may be sincere in their support for Palestinians, they have also utilized what is happening in Gaza to advance their own goals. So, what do the suddenly world-famous rebels want, and what will make them stop? To discuss this topic, join me, Maysaa Shujaa, a senior researcher at Sana'a Center for Strategic Studies. Ms. Maysaa, good to have you again on Yemen Today TV.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, if we just start from the latest briefing of the UN envoy on the 15th of April before the UN Security Council, he described the tension in the Middle East and its impact on Yemen as dangerous. What about you?
It is definitely dangerous on Yemen and the whole region. Definitely this region has become a fertile land for the radical group, including the Houthis. I think this makes Yemen more engaged or more involved in the regional tension, which is, I don't think it will be de-escalated by end the Gaza war, simply by end the Gaza war. It will continue for a long time. And Houthis now is more connected with their regional alliance, the resistance axis. They believe that now they have a regional role, that they should capitalize their role in this within this regional dimension. Also, this regional role, they want to capitalize it locally by providing them a new legitimacy inside Yemen, adding to the popularity that they gain outside of Yemen. Also by issuing a law that restrict or tighten their grip on the Yemeni society by increasing the recruitment, increasing their propaganda towards the society. So many aspects.
Maysaa, I will come to that in details later, okay? If we now move to the Red Sea crisis, I will discuss that in details later. If we move to the Red Sea crisis and the Red Sea attacks, Maysaa, when Linder King, the US envoy, he was giving a digital briefing on the 3rd of April, and he was talking about discussions he held in his latest visit to the region. He said, I quote, "In all of these discussions, the bottom line is the Houthis must halt their attacks in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden." End of quote. My question is, Maysaa, as if the Red Sea crisis has shifted the focus from engaging in Yemen peace process to containing the Houthi threat. How do you react?
It is true, indeed, but I have to clarify something. It connects them. I mean, now the US believes that the roadmap now is connecting the roadmap, which was the peace agreement that the Houthis were due to sign it with the Saudis,
Yes.
or with the Yemeni parties that are supported by the Saudis, it's now connected to the attacks, to the Red Sea attacks. This is what the US and the UK are trying to do, and it is going to happen like that. Because of that, for example, now there are new red lines that the US is imposing on the Saudis, that they don't want the roadmap to be implemented or to be signed on the way it was before the Red Sea attacks, especially paying salaries to the military, to the soldiers of the Houthis.
Yes.
And to the and also I think the inspection mechanisms they have, they want something. They want to continue this inspections mechanism on the ships on the Hodeidah port in a different way, or maybe in a more restricted way.
Yeah.
Anyhow, now it's become more connected, but definitely now the priority for the world, it is the stopping the Red Sea attacks more than striking a deal with the Houthis.
Yeah.
But we
so,
see.
Yeah. So I just understand, Maysaa, that while the US and the UK insist in linking the Red Sea crisis to the roadmap, it was interesting that the UN envoy also in his latest briefing called for what we call separation of Yemen's roadmap from regional conflict.
Yeah, he's trying to push for this, but I think he will succeed. I don't think it can be worked.
Okay. Now, if we straight away move to the US-UK joint airstrikes, Maysaa, okay? Mm-hmm. And it would be interesting to bring a veteran Yemen expert commenting on the US and UK strikes, and his name is Gregory Johnson. You must have heard about him. He says, the rationale of these strikes appears to be based on a mistaken analysis of how much pain the Houthis can endure. He adds, the Houthis have been fighting for the past few decades and they endured quite a bit. To what extent this sounds valid, Maysaa?
Totally agree with him, and this is what we won when the UK and US started their strikes, that they survived for 1 decade and facing the Saudi strikes and the Saudi-backed coalition, and they are now, I mean, they have long experience in how to deal with these strikes and how to move their air missiles base and all of these things. So it's not something that it will cause really a huge damage to them.
I see. In fact, some other observers suggested that the UK-US strikes have even empowered the Houthis, Maysaa. Do you think so?
It's always said like that, even during the Saudi-backed coalition war.
Yes.
Actually, the Houthis, they flourish during the war. This is in general.
Yeah.
But benefit them directly, maybe it increased their popularity among certain groups in Yemen, not all of the Yemeni people.
Yeah.
But also it make them more united as a group. I mean, during the truce, it started to emerge some divisions and conflicts among them, or small conflicts. I will not say it's something that threatened the unity of the group, but at least it is start to make a kind of pressure on them.
Okay. Now we may move to discuss your recent article, Maysaa, about how the Houthis have used the Red Sea attacks and the war in Gaza to what you called crafting their own police state. Okay? Mm-hmm. Would you tell us more about this?
The Houthis, they issued a law to criminalize the normalization with Israel and the Zionist entity Israel. And actually, the terms of law are very loose. That can be applied on anyone. That can be targeted to anyone. The Houthis want. They talk about attack about. For example, supporting the Israel explicitly or implicitly, something that you can judge people even about their intentions. It didn't require a proof. It's just talk about a sign of something like this. So it's a very, the law, actually, before that, they used previous laws against the opposition to confiscate their properties, and they use it against hundreds of people. Most of them, they live outside of Yemen, and they confiscated their wealth inside of Yemen, especially houses. But this previous laws, the text of law was obstacle for them to be implemented widely, like this law. And it's now used against the judge Abdul Wahab Qatran because he criticized their involvement in the Red Sea, and he said that it's better to give your attention to the famine and to the difficult economic condition inside your country instead of being involved with Gaza war. And this law also, it's entitled that it should be implemented in the war in a way more than the peacetime. And definitely it gives them really a legal excuse to target anyone.
I see. Their opponents.
For example, if you communicate with anyone through social media who may connect with the Zionists or with Israel, this make you criminal. It targets the Yemenis outside of Yemen, the Yemenis inside of Yemen, even the foreigners inside of Yemen. So it's really difficult to see this, to talk about how big the scope of this rule.
I see.
Thank you.
Okay. Another important thing you talked about, how Houthis have used it also internally, Maysaa. It's about the issue of recruiting soldiers for their fight, okay? Some reports talked about recruitment of 16,000 fighters recently under the guise of Gaza war, okay? Would you elaborate on this also?
Actually, it seems the new Houthi campaign to recruit people and to enroll the people in their culture courses. It seems that it is supervised by Abdul Malik al-Houthi himself, because he mentioned it all the time in his speeches. And in one of his speeches, he praised them, and he praised the people who work in that, and he said it's successfully targeted more than I think 300,000 people, which is a lot in a very short period of time. And we saw that it's already targeted the academics, the judge, which is very strange actually, because even during the Saudi war, they didn't target all of these categories of the Yemeni society, adding to their normal campaigns to recruit the children in Sana'a and the other areas.
And this is what you refer to as Houthis using or exploiting Gaza war or Red Sea attacks to consolidate more their power. Yes, Maysaa?
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Okay. Now, if you would like to wrap up, Maysaa, a final point, okay? Amid all these developments, okay, the $100 question remains: what will make the Houthis stop, and what are the prospects of peace in Yemen?
Actually, the attacks have been decreased last 2 weeks. I'm not sure. Are they aiming to strike a political deal? But I believe there is an economic pressure on them. It start to re-emerge again after it start to be calm. And the very beginning of Gaza war, the people were busy of Gaza war and anticipated what is going to happen. I think still the economy is the most profitable card against the Houthis. It can be used as a leverage to get from them concessions, because they are military-wise, they are stronger, and they are a group that they have nothing to lose. Actually, they are a gambling group, and their calculations, their political calculations are not usual like the states.
Yeah.
Are not heavy like the states. So I believe that that economy could be a path to break this circle, this deadlock pathway that we are working at since Gaza war started.
Yeah. Hope so. With that remark, we come to the end of this interview, Maysaa. Thank you so much for your time and insights, and thank you for talking to Yemen Today TV. That's all for this time. See you next week with a new edition of The Third Dimension.